Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Bladensburg Council Work Session for Monday, April 14th, 2025. Thanks to everyone who is there presently in the room, as well as those who are joining this evening virtually. At this time, we're now called to order, and we'll move on to the next item on tonight's agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Was that Councilmember Blind? I couldn't recognize the voice, sorry.
Councilmember Dixon.
It's Councilmember Dixon.
Dixon, okay. Thank you, Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Councilmember Blind. Any comments or edits to the agenda? I do want to note we need to remove the Osprey agreement from tonight and postpone that so we could remove that from the agenda. Are there any other edits or modifications? We're good?
No, I think that
Okay.
was the only one.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I'll call the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it and the agenda is approved. Next, we'll move on to item 3 for the approval of meeting minutes, beginning with the Town of Bladensburg work session for March the 10th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So move, Councilmember Brown.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember McBride.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments, corrections, or edits to the agenda, or sorry, for the minutes for March 10th? All right, everything's in good order. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The meeting minutes for March 10th are approved. Next, we'll proceed to the meeting minutes for the March 18th, 2025 Council Budget Work Session. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Dixon. I caught your voice that time. Any comments or corrections for the meeting minutes for the budget meeting? Everything's in good order? Okay. So I will call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And last but not least, the third set of minutes for consideration from the council tonight are the budget work session minutes for April the 1st. Is there a motion to approve?
So move, Councilmember
Moved by
Brown.
Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember McBride.
Seconded by
Councilmember
Councilmember McBride. All right, thank you, ma'am. Any edits or additions to the meeting minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. And that completes the approval of all of the meeting minutes for tonight. The next item is financial business. And we have this down for 15 minutes and we'll try to hold to that for the FY 2026 budget update and April financial report. So Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Do you mind first? Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I wanted to kind of go through a quick overview of where we've been and where we're going. Over the last few months, we've gone through a couple of different versions of the budget. The first budget that was initially developed back in January had us at a $1.5 million deficit. That included total compensation of $7.6 million. We had some reduced money reducing the speed camera revenues, a small increase in business license tax, and property taxes that were estimated at $4.8 million. Throughout the next couple of weeks, we looked at it again for your version 2, in which we removed the COLAs and merit, and the overall total compensation sort of changed from 1.7 to $1.7 million. Also, we looked at property tax assessments, which came in, which helped to get us to a better place. We added some of the federal earmarks, state bond bills, etc., and then we looked at some of the donations. But we also removed an increase. We removed the increase for business license fees because we hadn't gotten the permission yet, and we also decreased the cable franchise fees, which have been going down due to the lack of use of cable. At that point, we were at $1.3 million. In our third version, we looking at a possible property tax increase and increases to other property taxes. This would have a total revenue of $5 million, and for property taxes, we also looked at increasing the rail and utilities taxes, and looking at the way of maybe postponing or moving the money from the ARPA flood project. Sorry, it leaves the money for the ARPA flood project. Excuse me. I just want to make sure that I didn't misstate that. We also increased the take-home card deduction, removed some of the grant activities that were just to make them just cost neutral, and froze positions and reduced administrative hours for a total compensation of $7.1 million, put down from 7.7. This in turn reduced our deficit to about $288,000 on the third try. By the fourth try on April 1st, we again kept the residential property taxes the same for people who living in single family homes and condos within the town. We moved the commercial tax to 0.82 and the apartments to 85 cents. That made that our real property was about $5,034,000. We looked at again all those same business and utilities. We updated the insurance deductions, and compensation by another time of looking at it went down again to $7,068,000. Again, this has had a small deficit of 250, coming down from 1.5. Again, keep on moving through this. As of April 9th, we're looking at the having to reduce cable franchise fees again, down to $20,000 because the number of users has decreased further. I think we had put it to 30, so we lost $10,000 of revenue. We saw an increase of our liability insurance for about $2,000. We also saw that some of our software and other personal tracking software went up about $9,500. And then there was an increase in our auto insurance of about $10,000. Currently, we're sitting at a deficit about $290,000. We think that it's still achievable to figure out the last months, but I just wanted to kind of give you the week by week kind of changes that we've been making. And as things change and prices change, we're trying to keep you to keep the council involved in this. I'm going to share the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to let Mr. Tonelli kind of go through everything else. Mr. Tonelli, do you want to start going through the revenues, and I'll pull up the PowerPoint? Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my mic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on. Good. All right, we good? Big thumbs up? Okay, good.
Yes,
So,
I hear you.
thanks, Mayor. Did you catch all that, Mayor?
No.
Okay, good. All right. So, just to stay on time as well, the revenues are at $12 million, and it's an 8% decrease, and that's because we downgraded what we think we're going to receive from the automated traffic enforcement, and also I don't have any grant activity in here yet, but the grants are in and out. Once it gets closer, we'll put those in, but those don't really affect the operating budget. There's always capital grants. And the expenses are, just go down here, are 6% less than last year, than the current fiscal year, I'm sorry. And I just want to show you something else really quick. Yeah, share the screen. Sorry, everything is just a little bit slower. All right, just something to show you all. If I back out the capital portions here, the ARPA projects and the capital projects, our real operating budget is about $9.6 million. And if we take a look just at salaries of the 7.1 rounded, they make up 74% of the total budget. So, as I always say, we're a service organization and we are a people organization, so that makes up 3/4 of the budget. And I have some others right here real quick. Are they sharing? Okay. You can see that the, I'm sorry, it didn't come through on this. Give me 1 second, everybody. 1 second. Okay, down here at the bottom here, just to show you where the departments make up the total operating budget. Again, less the capital. 16% goes towards the council and administrative services, and we get to our service organizations, and they make up the balance of the budget, that 84% there. So I just want to highlight those real quick. And getting back to the budget, though, as Michelle said, we are right now at a deficit of $293,000, and that is what would be our transfer from the fund balance up here. So we just want to show that deficit, what we still need to make up, or we could, always stop here. But we could just. I'd rather keep working on the budget, and as we get closer to the start of the fiscal year, we get better information, like we get the updated insurance rates, and that's why you see these small adjustments here and everything. We could still get some updated info. I mean, for right now, I have the same revenues. As an example, I have the same revenues in for highway user revenues as this year to next year. We're actually getting about $30,000 to $40,000 increase, but most years they walk that back. So I didn't put that full amount in there, just as an example. And Michelle, I'm going to take us back to you just in the interest of time, so you can share your PowerPoint. Okay.
Mayor, Council, we just wanted to then give you this time to ask questions. So we will, that way you can then, in interest of time, for you to ask, and we can answer any questions you may have.
Sure. So thank you, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth and Treasurer Tonelli, for the overview of the budget. I would agree with not putting in fund balance as the solution right now, since we have a few more budget meetings. I think it gives us a little more time to continue sharpening our, pencils to figure out where we can find some savings. And it's good to know with the HURs, the projections are higher, but we're not going to count on that just in case they don't come through. And if they do, we can be pleasantly surprised and have those resources to go back into the services for their residents in terms of roadway improvements and the like. But council members, any comments or questions regarding the update that was just given?
No, I don't have anything.
No, Mayor, I agree with you. You know, as we have a few more sessions to go to try to sharpen our pencil a little bit more. So, but I think we've been doing a great job up to this point with what we have to work with. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, even looking at the mayor and council budget, it is the smallest budget that we have, but perhaps at the next budget work session, we can even take a look at that and see if there's areas where we can just help find some savings to help reduce that overall shortfall. But again, thank you all for taking the time to continue going through this process. I also appreciate that we've almost doubled the number of budget sessions this time around because we started earlier, which gave us more time to start reporting out to the community and making sure that we're keeping them informed along the way. So again, thanks to everyone who's been helping with this process. The next item under new business is discretionary funds. So I think Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepeth, I'm turning it back over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So really, I'm turning this back over to the council because we do as your will for this portion. We wanted to give everyone the chance to sort of make those, to talk about any items so that when it comes up on the 7:15 meeting, we can then, make sure that they're all in order for that meeting.
Thank you for that. So I'll turn it to the council to ask if anyone has already thought about where you would like to transfer your discretionary funds to. I know I haven't given it thought yet and will defer until the next meeting if I can. But for those who may have already thought about this, any feedback in terms of the organizations you would like to assist with your funds?
No, I'm gonna wait until next month.
I'm going to wait until the next meeting as well, Mayor. I have a couple of thoughts, but I'm going to wait to make that final decision at our next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. And Council Member McBride, I saw you leaning in for the mic.
Yes, ma'am. I as well. I mean, I've been in deep thought, but I would rather wait so I can make a final decision.
Sounds good. And Council Member Dixon.
I'm on the same page. Just give us into the next meeting.
That sounds great. And what I'm thinking, just so we don't duplicate efforts, if you determine who you want to apply your discretionary funds to, and if you could email Ms. Watson and Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth and just copy the council. So that way, let's say Council Member McBride picks a nonprofit that I was thinking of, then I'll know, okay, I should pick another organization just so we don't duplicate efforts. Would that work for the council?
So yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Making a note. CC Council. Okay, great. And then moving on to the next item, which is item C, Ordinance 11-2025. I'll turn it over to staff regarding an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the Town of Bladensburg to amend Article 76-4 of the Town Code, business license and permit fees, and adds an alarm registration fee. So I'll turn it back over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is I believe that in the agenda item, we've provided both a copy of the new ordinance and a summary report that talks about we have not increased business license fees for at least 7 years. I believe the last time was in 2017. And Mr. Reinhardt is also here to attest to all that information. But what we've done is we looked around other agencies throughout the area. We looked at other cities and areas are charging for these same types of business licenses. We came up with not the highest, but not the lowest. We put ourselves right in the middle on those fees. And then we also are adding something that's called an alarm fee, which is that you just register your business alarm with us, which a couple of the other agencies in the area have done. I'm here to answer, and Mr. Reinhardt's here to answer any questions you may have on this ordinance. Again, this is the first reading, and it allows us to put these business licenses in place for the new fiscal year. And it also is an anticipated revenue if the council moves forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepath. And Officer Reinhardt, I know this affects your area primarily. Are there any additional things you'd like to share with the council?
No, ma'am. I know from the previous term, it seems like the town wants to every 10 years adjust license fees. I think what Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepath has brought up is actually just kind of catching us up from where we have been in the past. And I think it's a great idea.
Great, thank you for that. Chief, anything you wanted to add before I turn it over to the council for feedback?
No, ma'am, not at this time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Chief. But I do agree and appreciate the homework that the staff did in terms of looking at similar sized municipalities and the fees that they're assessing, and not putting us at the top of the scale necessarily, but in line with what others are assessing for these types of applications. To the council, I want to turn it over to you to see if you have any concerns or if you're in agreement with proceeding with this particular ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Brown. I thank you, the town, for the comparison chart. So that's I thought that was very good, and that because that was going to be one of my questions. Where are we in comparison to some of the other municipalities? So, like Mrs. Bailey Hedgepath was saying, we're not on the high spectrum or the low spectrum, kind of right there in the middle. And then it's been a while since we've moved on this here, but with the alarm fee, do we get a lot of alarms that we respond to? Do we know what that average is that we have to respond to the alarms?
I'll let the chief answer that, but it's a registration fee, ma'am. It's not a fee for every alarm. So it's actually just to register your alarm.
Oh, just
so that we know that you have it. But I'll let the chief and public safety to do that further. Chief?
Good afternoon, everyone. So currently, all alarm call fees are regulated through the county. At this time, we don't regulate any alarm.
So is there any reason why we think that we should regulate them through the town?
Other municipalities are actually charging a separate alarm fee. Sorry, other municipalities are also also have a registration fee, so that they can know who especially for businesses, so that they know who has alarms and who doesn't. But I think the question you asked, and Chief, was the fact that do we get a lot of alarm calls from businesses rather than does the county regulate them?
I'm sorry, but I still like the question though, in terms of because that was going to be another question too, in terms of the regulation of it as well, and why we've decided to say, hey, we need to have this alarm registration fee.
And we do receive a large amount of not a large, but we do reasonable amount of business calls, alarms, especially in the morning times when they're opening. We get the alarm calls in the morning, so we do get our fair share. But I don't have the exact number, but I can get that number for you.
So you mean if they open the store
and someone
they
forget
trip the
to
alarm?
deactivate it? Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Councilwoman, you asked the reason why would we start to look at the alarm registration. Again, it's to know who has alarms, who doesn't. I think in some ways it gives us information that we don't currently have in regards to the businesses. It gives us one more point of understanding, if they're going to, if they do have one, then we already know that they're registered. And then that way, police can say, oh, wait, this person is tripped. They commonly have this issue in the morning. And we already actually know that. I mean, they know it because it happens. But in some ways, as a new business opens, we know that they have an alarm. And it is a $25 fee.
Annual
Fee.
Thank you.
And then Chief, and thank you for the questions, Councilmember Brown. Chief Collington also, and maybe I'm not thinking of it the right way, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm also thinking the value for the town is understanding which businesses have the alarm so that if there is an occurrence, let's say it's a repeat offense where someone's hitting several businesses, by us knowing that they have alarms and potentially cameras, our investigators can go to them and work with them to get that footage to help solve crimes that may have directly or indirectly affected their business. Is that correct, or am I thinking about this differently?
So it's two parts, man. Just because they have alarm don't mean they have the cameras, but all alarm calls that come in are logged into our CAD system. So we do have a log if it's a regular occurrence. We can look and see the total number, but there is value in having a robust list of all all businesses in town that would have the alarms. But to answer your question, the calls are logged into our CAD system. So if it goes off twice a week, we have a record of it that this is a repeat offense or a repeat notification that this alarm goes off at this business frequently at certain times.
And just FYI, Mayor, Council, if you decide to not do the alarm fee, it's only about $31.25 that it would reduce our information for. I mean, it would reduce the total amount of potential revenues for. So that would be the net effect of it. Is about $3,000 per year.
Thank you for that. And thank you for the clarification, Chief. That was really helpful. Council members, are there any other questions that you have regarding this ordinance?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to the fee, home-based businesses, yeah.
This we do. I think that we have one fee for home-based businesses, and I believe it's the base fee, which it does not change theirs. Which I'm trying to go back to it. Would that be one? Would that be class one, Sean? Because I believe there would be class. Are they in class one?
We currently don't charge home-based.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think you do. So we don't have they're hard to track. So it's but I guess if they're accounting and they come to us, we would do that, and they would be as an office use, correct? So I mean, yeah, it's usually brick and mortar, but I mean, I would see that if you just happen to have a home accounting business, or that when it's in the home, it would be whatever the fees are, but we're not targeting home businesses in this one.
Did that answer the question, Councilmember Dixon?
I did. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. And any other questions at this time? Councilmember McBride? Okay. Councilmember Blunt? Okay. All right. So generally, does the council feel that it makes sense to move in this direction, or do you have concerns with this ordinance? Sorry, I can't, the camera didn't adjust, so I can't see.
I'm okay with it.
Responses.
Going in that direction.
Okay.
And I as well, Mayor. I have no questions right now.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Brown?
Because I'm glad we had the comparison to the other municipalities of the same, scope and size. So yes, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Dixon?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you all for weighing in on that. And this item is on the 7 o'clock meeting agenda as well. So we'll have it there to follow up on. The next item is ordinance 12-25, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg to repeal and reenact Chapter 50, property maintenance, in its entirety, to repeal Chapter 68, housing standards, in its entirety, and to adopt Chapter 49, rental housing. So Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. So this would be we looked at the rental license issue, and the issue is it's interesting because the town does not have a rental license, but in the state from enforcement, we do not get a lot of enforcement by the county. And I'll let Mr. Reinhardt talk more about that. But when we looked at other municipalities our size, smaller municipalities, even Edmonston, they have a similar code and they actually have rental licenses for single family housing. In the first year, we've had it to be voluntary in this ordinance. And what we also like to look at is that we've gotten complaints from residents regarding single family not being regulated with the rental license. The ordinance enacts information for the council and enacts portions of the property maintenance code. And we had our town attorney to put that together because the last time that the town adopted the property maintenance code was in 1998. And so it's woefully out of date. And we'd like to make sure that we are using the same property maintenance code that's being used by the county. So part of this, even if there isn't a desire to maybe move forward with having rental licenses, we would like to make sure that we enact the new property maintenance code because we do not have an updated property maintenance code attached to our ordinance and to our code and charter. So that's part of it. And having the housing standards there, we have a section that has housing standards, but it's out of date again. So I'll let the chief and Mr. Reinhardt answer any other questions you may have, but this is something that puts us in line with other communities our size. I checked in with my compatriots in Edmonston, and actually it's similar to the Edmonston, which they adopted about 6 or 7 years ago for their single family housing. But it's just with our attorney spin on it, who wrote it. But I believe she actually wrote the Edmonston one about 6 years ago. So they're very similar.
Yes, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor. A definite update of our property maintenance code is due because, again, standards since 98 to 2024 have changed drastically. And again, if the mayor and council do decide to go with a rental licensing aspect, it would be voluntary for single family homes. And they would just have to notify us, or if we come across a property that has like a for rent sign, we'd reach out to the owner and let them know of our fees and everything. And when it comes to multi-family dwellings, it would be a percentage of each building is what we would inspect.
And just to clarify, so you're saying this is only for single family housing? Because as I read through it, it seemed to also be very relevant for multi-family housing as well, and creating the property maintenance standards and so forth.
It is for both, Mayor. We're just saying that some of the fees, the multifamily are paying on a percentage, and they're also paying currently as far as your rental, as far as your business license occurs. What we'd like to do is try to move this so that everyone, but when and I'll let Mr. Reinhardt say it, is that we're not doing an inspection of every unit in multifamily, which is typical of large multifamily. You're doing a percentage that rotates throughout the every year. So it's a rotating list of houses that we would take a look at. Multifamily units. Mr. Reinhardt, please chime in so that I'm not incorrect.
She is correct because with 2,500 apartments, condominiums in the town of Bladensburg, it would be feasibly impossible for us to inspect every unit with just 3 officers. So that's why we would have to basically go ahead and inspect a certain percentage of the property or the properties, or if something complaint based, if we receive a complaint, then we could go out and inspect that property as an added location.
Thank you for that. That's Officer Reinhardt. Chief, was there anything you wanted to add to this?
No, man, I agree with Supervisor Reinhardt on it. It will be, a little. It can be done in sections and schedule arrangements, but I do agree with Sean. It would put an extra heavy load on the current staff.
That's helpful. And then just as Officer Reinhardt mentioned about things being complaint-based, what I appreciated is that the language in the current code would address instances that affect health. And what comes to mind is bed bugs, which can be a problem in multifamily housing. And so having the town being able to step in to cite for situations like that and have some level of enforcement to move these property owners to resolution is encouraging, because in the past, we haven't had the language, frankly, to be able to enforce these owners to take the necessary actions. So I see this as a very positive step. But council members, I want to turn this over to you for feedback or any questions you may have.
Councilmember Blunt, like when you go into a unit and you cite, what are you looking for? When you
It would be basic life safety code, because again, we're not certified in mold remediation, but we would make sure that the units would have a mold certificate through the unit. But basically, basic life safety, windows work, the doors work, make sure there's no, gas leaks or anything, light switches and everything. So it'd be a basic life safety inspection.
I know this. I'm sorry.
Language. Oh, sorry, council member. There's even more specific information in the various sections on things to look for, whether it's related to pests, as Officer Reinhardt stated, any sort of serious hazards. It goes into even situations where there's electrical equipment that's not up to par and is creating an unsafe environment. So it could even be if the unit has washers and dryers and they're creating unsafe information. So I appreciate how it spells out in significant detail all of these things that they can go in to determine whether or not a place is fit or unfit for a resident.
Yeah, I do agree with that, because a lot of times, because we have a HUD inspection every year, and we know residents do not comply with, they hide things, they do things, which makes it hard for management. So you all going in and helping us cite them is at a third party that would help us have them to do better. So yeah, I do agree with that.
And again, like, these inspections will be random. It's not like we will have we have a specific list we'll go to when we come out. We will definitely meet with management up front and say, hey, we're here to do inspections, just to let you know that we are out on site. One of the things that, I personally have concern with is, again, I'm no mold expert, I'm no lead paint expert, and bed bugs. Of course, I don't want to take bed bugs home with me, because then I might be living here in town hall. So, but we would definitely be able to meet with, if we do get a complaint about that, to see if that resident has even reached, because a lot of complaints we get, management doesn't even know about. So, and then all of a sudden they want to just come in and make a concern with the town. And we always say, have you met with management yet? And 90% of the time is no, I haven't called management. I have not called that. So in that case, management could probably handle it well before we could handle it. But it's also to have that, like I said, a third party come and do the inspection, especially where you have units that don't go in compliance.
I really like that. What was that, 10 toes down or whatever? I like that. Okay, that's enough for me.
Thank you.
But I have a
Councilmember
question
Blunt.
as well, Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember McBride.
Now, I understand you're talking about the residents, but if there's an issue that the building supposedly had addressed and the problem has gotten worse, that they say it is completed and residents are saying it's not.
And that's a definite concern that we would have over, because not only we're inspecting individual units, we'll be doing open space inspections. So it could be the hallways, the stairwells, the elevators, the meeting rooms or something like that. So if you do come across something that is said has been repaired, but not repaired up to, it may be repaired up to code, but not up to a resident standard. There's two different things that we'd have to look at it. So, I mean, a lot of times if you have a water leak, they replace the drywall, mud and paint it, it's up to code, but it might not be painted the color you want it painted. So it might be against your standard. So.
I'm sorry. I apologize. No, she had said something about the rodents and like bed bugs, and a lot of time it's the residents' behavior, and why this is why it isn't. But mice going to be here when we dead and gone, so we can try to we could try to. I'm sorry. I'm speaking on the management part of it. I apologize, but no, I understand. You talk to Sean. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, those items are definitely spelled out in the new code language addressing pests, whether caused by residents or whether it's negligence on the part of the property owner. And what I also appreciate about the new language is it gives the authority to code enforcement to be able to say to the property manager, these are the violations. This is the time frame you have to address them. And I mean, it's Bladensburg, so it's not that we're not going to work with people and see their efforts and give them a hard time if they're working to address these things. But the hope is that because we locally are addressing these, we can catch the concerns faster before they become bigger problems. And as some of you may recall, we had a severely neglect property manager that we were dealing with during COVID who did not have habitable conditions of his building. And because our code wasn't up to date, we weren't able to have the sort of authority to enforce and cite and do all of these things. And so we weren't able to protect the residents to the degree that we had hoped. And so this is really helping us to prevent that level of safety concerns and really frustration and discomfort for our residents who are living in rental properties as we move forward. So again, thank you to the staff for putting this all together. But before we move on, Councilmember Brown and Councilmember Dixon, did you have any comments or questions as well?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. And, well, you know, Mr. Sean, you did answer some more questions because I was like, how are we going to police this? Because I did go through it and it is very robust because I'm like, okay, is the town becoming property managers now? You know, we're we managing rental properties and stuff, but it does give us, it is robust. It's a lot. And I had a good first kind of reading of it, and everything is very well spelled out and very, very clear. But it does give our code enforcement room to go after some of these owners if they're not in compliance. Because I'm like, yes, because I didn't know if we were taking on, you know, like a new department or something, but we're going to be going out policing, you know, and. You know, so,
one of the
but
biggest,
it does help us.
I say one of the biggest things that helps us with also right now. It's on. Is we don't have the authority to condemn a property. So if we come across a property that has been on fire, we don't have that authority to go out right now and condemn it or have basically get the property raised to prevent a safety hazard. We have to wait for Prince George's County, which could take 6, 8, 9, 10 months. Bringing it in-house, it would shorten that time drastically. So that is one of the things that I think is going to help out the code department, the town, and just the residents in general to get some of these unsafe homes, you know, properly boarded up, properly secured, and everything.
Now, what about the rental license fees?
So this sets up the opportunity to charge rental license fees for the multifamily. We are already charging $35 per unit, and what this would do is put an additional percentage to cover the inspections. We can't make it we need to be able to cover our costs. So basically, with the rental license fee, we're just looking to cover the cost of the new software and some staff time, and that's about it. What we really want to do is expand our services, to be honest with you, with the residents. We received complaints and questions about our ability to respond to issues in the town, especially with the property maintenance code. This gives us the teeth to be able to respond in a real way. And it also helps us to put together all sorts of property maintenance standards, and not just the fact that for multifamily or for rental, but for everything by updating this code. So it really puts the town where it needs to be to do its duty.
Right, and it aligns with the county. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
Great
Mayor.
point. Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Dixon, any comments or questions?
You know what, Madam Mayor? I don't. All the questions already went for it, so you can move on.
Right. Well, thank you for the discussion and again, the great questions that were raised and concerns. At this time, we'll move on to item E, which is Ordinance 13-2025, an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the Town of Bladensburg to amend Chapter 112, Vehicles and Traffic, by adopting Article 112-14, Stop Sign Monitoring Systems in School Zones, to authorize use of stop sign monitoring cameras in school zones. And so I'll turn it over to the Town Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Chief Collington is our SME on this, subject matter expert on this item. But what we are doing is we're setting up the ordinance in order to enforce stoplight cameras. We put out an RFP about 2 months ago. We are reviewing those RFP and working on a contract. This ordinance needs 2 readings, so this helps to set it up. So by the time we have the contract for you, that we can stand up the program and get it started. But I will turn over the program itself to Chief Collington.
Thank you. So, as you're aware, we did the RFP, as Town Administrator just alluded to. So we did vet 3 of the vendors, and we are narrowing down. We had a couple follow-up meetings to make sure that the vendor that we do select can meet the needs of not just the police department, but our community. So we provided, I provided to Town Administrator Hedgepeth a list of all the locations so that we would, after we follow up with the county, get the approval from the county, we'll be able to post all of these locations throughout town. The goal is to get people to get our residents and people driving through our town to obey the stop signs and make our streets pedestrian safety for our school students as well as our residents walking through town. So I want to thank Town Administrator Hedgepeth for her leadership, as well as all the staff that took part in, also Ms. Watson for helping out as well, coordinating the meetings. So it's been very productive, and we just looking forward to standing this program up and getting it implemented in our town. Some of the other jurisdictions around the county have already stood theirs up, and it's working fine and good results, getting people to obey stop signs, and that's the goal, what we want to do here as well.
Great. Thank you, Chief Collington, for that overview. And I appreciate the locations that you shared with the council in the packet so we can understand the streets where these will be rotated from periodically. This is really good that you have such an extensive list of locations. Council members, are there any comments or questions for Chief Collington?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was looking at the list and I was like, whoa. So the question I do have in terms of us, and I think just like with the speed cameras, that the thing is we want residents to slow down, or drivers who are coming through to slow down coming through Bladensburg. In terms of with the rollout to the community, so that they're aware, is there a time period, like a 30-day time period, where it's like, okay, well, this is the this is the first phase of it, and you don't get tickets, but after this period of time you'll start getting tickets. So some of the rules around it, it's like when you come to a stop, do you have to wait 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, the countdown. So the educational piece around it, Chief.
So we will make sure that the public definitely get the warning phase, the notifications. But definition of stop means that your wheels come to a complete stop. So there is a stop line. So we will make sure that all this information go out so we keep our residents safe. But stop means the vehicle is not rolling.
So you said stop at the stop line because, you come to a stop. So
you have to stop prior to the stop line. You have your crosswalk and then you have the stop line.
Right.
So you must stop, complete stop before the stop line.
If your bumper is over,
if you pass that stop line, it will trigger the camera.
So, Chief, what about Annapolis when I'm coming out? I can't see down the street, so I have to come out.
So the camera detects if you never stop, but if you stop and then move up so you can clear the intersection, the camera understands.
Do you have an idea of the amount? I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
It's fine, but Chief, I think what the chief so nicely is trying to tell us is that when we come up to the sign that says STOP, we must STOP the vehicle, not roll, STOP, and then proceed from there. Am I translating right, Chief?
Oh man, I couldn't say it better myself.
But Chief, that bumper better not touch that white line.
Stop prior to the stop line.
The bumper.
So Chief, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Councilmember Dixon.
So I got a ticket in Cheverly, right? So I didn't realize I missed the date. So of course it doubled. Are we gonna do the same?
So there are fees associated and penalties associated, but it clearly explains on the ticket. You must pay within this time period.
Or the fine will double.
Back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Actually, Councilwoman Dixon, we within within this ordinance, we do not double it. On ours, just to kind of answer that question, but we are actually working with the town attorney to look at that issue in regards to all speed camera, red light camera, and stop signs. So once they're all in the ordinance, we will look at that process along with the collection process as part of that as a separate ordinance. So that will come to you as a separate item. So I just wanted to make that clear that it's not part of this item because we need to make it all the way across all of those, all the enforcement items so that you will take a look at that and to look at whether or not you want to do that and how you want to deal with that enforcement process. I just wanted to say that because it's not part of this one.
Thank you.
So question. So Chief, in terms of tickets now, when people get tickets in Bladensburg, so if they don't pay by the due date, the fine does not double?
So
I thought that was kind of standard.
They will double, but as town administrator just said, she is going to work. I wasn't aware of that, but she wants to work towards not having the fees double. So
it's not the fact that it doesn't. No, wait a minute. Let me say it's not me. The issue is that currently our ordinance does not read exactly like that, and we need to clarify we need to clarify our ordinance in the collection process because we also need to be able to use a collection company, which we do not have that right now, and look at the way that our tickets escalate. Sometimes they double. Sometimes some municipalities, after a certain point, they can charge an additional late fee and they can charge recovery fees. We don't have those in place, and we want to bring you a complete package of that. That's all I'm saying is that needs to be worked on. So that's the issue that is being worked on by the town attorney.
So I would say that that's for the red light and stop sign.
Yes.
That we'll be working on, but speed tickets do have a fee assessed to them.
But for these two, they don't necessarily have it.
Okay, well, Chief, I will come to a complete stop.
Prior to the stop line.
Okay, prior to the stop
line.
Thank you. And then final question, because I know we have several more things to get through before 7. Chief, similar to the speeding cameras, there was a grace period. Is it going to be like that where I believe it was about 60 days grace period before the enforcement kicked in.
So for the speed cameras, it was 2 weeks, and we planned to,
2 weeks.
do the 30. Red light cameras technically 45 days, but 15 days of that is when they do collecting the data. So it's technically 45 days for that, for the red light cameras. For the stop sign, I believe it's 2 weeks. But I'll verify that, but I believe it's 2 weeks for stop sign. Because I think stop sign follows the speed camera program.
Excuse me, Mayor, I have one more question for the chief. The stop sign cameras, are they mobile? Do they move around, or are they stationary?
So the 3 vendors that we vetted, that was one of the questions that we wanted to cover. But the one that we are really interested in does both. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for, again, the discussion and questions. We'll move on to the next item, item F, which is Resolution 18-2025. This is a resolution of the Town Council of Bladensburg appointing members to the Board of Supervisors of Elections for a term beginning April 14th, 2025 and ending February 28th, 2027. I'll turn it over to, the combination of Madam Town Administrator and Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mayor, I'm going to let the clerk kind of go through this for the council. So I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. She will be able to present the information that she's gotten regarding the Board of Supervisors of Elections.
Yes, hello, Mayor and Council. In February, we did appoint 3 members to the Board of Supervisors of Election. We did have 3 new residents volunteer to also serve on the Board of Supervisors of Election. And because of the 2025 elections, I believe that it's important for us to have a full Board of Supervisors election. So I was hoping that we could appoint 2 more people onto the board and an alternate just in case something happens or somebody's not available, just to ensure that we have a full Board of Supervisor election for this 2025.
Thank you. I thought we did have one alternate.
Not for the Board of Supervisor elections. We have one alternate for the Ethics Commission.
Okay.
So the Ethics Commission, we decided on a 3 and 1 alternate.
Okay.
For the Board of Supervisor elections, because they do, they're pretty much taking care of the whole election.
Yes.
They're there the whole day. They're the ones that are taking care of the process and making sure. I think we should do 5 with an alternate to make sure that we have a full 5 people at all times during the election process this year.
And so these are the 2 names, right?
There is 3 names on there, 3 recommendations.
And so again, this will bring the total count to a total of 5 Board of Supervisors of Election members and then 1 alternate member.
Yeah.
So that just in case there's a shift and someone can't continue the commitment, we have an alternate that can move right onto the board. But are there any questions or comments from the council? Okay.
Do you need this answer right now?
There is one
Okay.
correction that needs to be made. Miss Colette's last name is Cherry. Cherry.
RRY. Okay, definitely. We're just so if the council decides it would be appointed at the regular town council meeting, it's up to the council if they want to do it.
And it is on the agenda for the 7 o'clock meeting tonight as well. All right, hearing no further comments or questions, I'll move on to item G, which is the resolution 20-2025, a joint resolution of the mayors and councils of the port towns of Bladensburg, Colmar Manor, Cottage City, and Edmonston to form a community development corporation or CDC and establish governance structure. So Town Administrator, I'll turn it over to you.
So the purpose of this joint resolution is, again, to establish a formal of agreement in regards to the CDC. But what it actually it also does is it starts to basically set up the legal entity with the regional and economic for economic and community development initiatives. It provides the governance structure which is basically saying that all firm municipalities will be members. It defines the roles and defines who the appointment of officers and the executive leadership. It also basically tells the towns how we're going to fund it and say that we're going to start to give a certain portion every year. And then it also allows us to move forward with hiring a business partner or a consultant firm to help to do some of these tasks with the funds that we're using. The fiscal impact is about, we're looking to get $25,000 to $30,000. I know Vito looked at me like I'm strange again. That I'm ignoring him right now. That this is something that we need to get done because it is part of our it's part of our economic development future, and it's also part of being supportive of the other port towns in this particular goal. So what the recommendation from staff is to approve this. The other town managers have the same resolution on their agendas for April, so that we can all pass it at the same time and we can move forward with our next meeting, which is April 21st at 7. Yeah, but it's online. It's not in person. Mayor Gant asked. It's Edmonston, and she asked to do it online. So I've sent it to everybody. It's on your calendars, but it is on April 21st. So
thank you,
if there's any other questions up here.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you and the other administrators continuing to do the administrative work to keep this process moving forward, and definitely support moving forward on this particular resolution. Council members, do you have any questions or comments for Town Administrator Bailey Hedgepeth?
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth, I read through, and I like the structure and everything that's been put around it. And also, thanks to the TAs, you all are really, really doing a great job. Yeah, I like this. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I do have a question. You said 35,000, Vito. I'm looking at her too. So would that be, I'm split between the three towns, or that's 35 per town?
So what we're trying to do is that we know that the consultant is going to cost us at least $40,000. And so in order to have some money for marketing, that we're looking for at least $30,000 to $35,000 per town. I'm trying to keep, what we'll do is we will, as we need the money, I'll come to the council and add it as a budget item for you so that you know what is it actually costing. Because I don't want to just say at this point, but I just wanted to warn you that it could be $30,000 to $35,000 from our share. We'd like to do equal shares, but it's been harder for Cottage City to do I'm just gonna call it out because Colmar Manor really hasn't put up any objections, and neither has Edmonston. But I think it might be harder for Cottage City to invest in this, and I think that's the heart. And then but I don't want this to get lost in the fact that we can't have everybody participate fully. They're participating. I just don't know what their contribution is going to be.
Then Mrs. Bailey Hedgepeth, just real quick, and there could be some grants out there that could help fund it as well.
That's exactly part of the purpose of hiring this group, is because part of what they're going to be doing is they're going to be working on grants on behalf of and also work on the Main Street program, because what we'd like them to do is to become a certified Main Street and then get money through the Main Street program to try to get
pay for those positions.
To pay for those positions, so that we're trying to make it self-sufficient. So this is
right.
what we're trying to move towards. The issue is that we'll have DCHD coming down in April. In the next couple of weeks, Jared and I are going to walk around with them, and we're going to also shop this plan to them as well, because we'd like for them to tell us how we can become a Main Street, because we would not be a traditional Main Street like one town. We're trying to do this quad town Main Street. And so we've been trying to just basically sell that package. And part of this is that, again, that council backing of this program, of the CDC, and moving us to that next level. That's the issue that we really want to be able to provide, to say, look, we're putting up the first part of the money. We need the state, we need these private funders to help us.
And really, Councilmember Brown, to your point, the expectation is this initial money is really the seed money, or sort of the base, if you will, so that we get that consultant to come in and make it part of their compensation, that they need to bring in grants to help cover X% of their fees, and, and within a certain amount of time, so that this just doesn't drag out for 3 or 4 years, but that was the initial idea. I recall from the previous Port Towns meeting was just that we would have to help fund it to get off the ground.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So will this only handle economic programs?
I think it's really going to be determined from that board. I think that's why each one of the councils will have people on the board and will have business leaders. I mean, this could do some of the community events for the joint area. It can do the Main Street. It can look at programming. I mean, I think the one nice partnership that CDCs provide is that when we're doing things like the Port Town Sector Plan, having a CDC that would have been functional would have been really helpful to all of us, because they would have had a different perspective than just the town administrators and maybe some of the business owners. It would have been a collective that is looking at it. So we're hoping that the investment in this pays dividends not only towards economic development, but for quality of life of our residents.
Thank you. Nothing about zoning and landing. Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
No, sorry, Councilmember Dixon, the question was about zoning.
I was asking her if it has anything to do, will it have anything to do with any zoning or land use recommendations or so? Or it's just focused?
Oh, they can. I mean, the CDCs can make that. I mean, I think that's where the direction from the board will come. I think the only problem that we've seen in the past is that maybe some of those groups kind of do not necessarily always agree with the towns that are funding it. So I think I'd like to say hopefully that there will be some, but they're not going to be your de facto zoning board. That still will be handled by Park and Planning, or if Monday maybe by a town zoning board or whatever, but they can give you some recommendations if you'd like them to.
Thank you. Back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the great questions there. But I'll just say we've been talking about this for probably 6 or 7 years now, and the challenges with the current CDC. So I'm just really grateful for all the help and effort that's gotten us to this point where we're turning the corner and starting something new to help each of the Port Towns communities move forward and improve our economic development collectively. So again, thanks to all the staff who's helping on that front. The next item is Resolution 19-2025, a resolution recognizing Administrative Professionals Week, April 20th through 26th, 2025. I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Town Administrator.
So we have two resolutions, and Mayor, if you don't mind, if I kind of do them both at the same time, because they're both important groups, but I can do them individually. The Administrative Professionals Week is April 20th to 26th. We put together proclamations and these resolutions for the staff that are here. I mean, the staff that are that we are going to recognize during that period of time. We've started doing this over the last few years. As you know, this is April, so we have these two. And in May, we've got Police and Public Works. In October, we have Code Enforcement. Am I correct with that, Mr. Reinhardt, that October's Code Enforcement? Vito and I do not want proclamations, so we're not telling you when ICMA and GFOA have theirs, because we don't want proclamations for ours. But otherwise, but I'm trying to make sure that I recognize every single set of employees around here besides myself and Vito. So those are these are the ones that are coming up for this month. We're also going to we just want to make sure that we're consistent at really letting these professionals know how much we value their work. And so part of that is that even internally, we will do small get-togethers and items for these each one of these professionals, each one of the groups as they come along.
That's great. Thank you for that, Madam Town Administrator. And it is exciting to recognize the hard work and achievements of our administrative team, along with our telecommunications professionals who are the dispatchers in the police department. We appreciate each of these groups because they're really the backbone of the organization, that if they don't do their jobs, it directly impacts everyone else that they're connected with and makes it difficult for them. So we appreciate the backbones on the administrative side and the public safety side. So thank you all. To the council, are there any comments or questions regarding these two resolutions and proclamations?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Again, we thank you guys for your hard work, but I have a suggestion that we can just jump over to J because we already covered telecommunication, if that's okay.
Yes, so the administrator was saying that she wanted to combine those two. So we're finally at contract approval, item J, authorization to enter into a grant agreement with the Prince George's County Stormwater Stewardship Award Program through Chesapeake Bay Trust. Town Administrator, I'll turn it back over to you.
So this is a partial award for design only of the, we asked for a lot more and they gave us $30,000 for just the design of 3 rain gardens, one at the fire department, one at Mango Cafe, and another one, I believe, on Spring. And we're doing these with Michael Clare with EcoSite, and he's with the engineering contract that you've already approved, but we wanted the council to approve this grant contract and acceptance of the grant funds so that we can send this to Chesapeake Bay Trust and the Prince George's County Stewardship Award Committee. And this award is for $30,000. Sorry, it's for $30,000. Sorry.
Yes, no problem. And thank you for putting the award letter in the packet along with the criteria. I kind of chuckled reading through this and how rigorous it was for 30K, but of course we will comply because we want those resources. But council members, any comments or questions regarding the contract approval?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Great job.
Councilmember
I mean,
Vincent?
30,000, but it's something. So, but great work.
Yes, every little bit helps.
Well, the nice part about it is it looks like we might be able to actually get the one of the rain gardens may be funded by the walkable watersheds if we can get it done quick enough with Mr. Clare, because they are going to fund a rain garden for us as part of the walkable watershed, so we might be able to see one implemented with these with both funds and actually close out one of these projects before the end of the summer. So that is good news with the timing.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of tonight's agenda. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mayor, there's one more item that was sent, and it's an item. It's one more. It's for a contract approval for the purchase of 6 license plate readers related to equipment and warranties in the amount not to exceed $50,536 from Motorola Solutions.
I'm sorry, I didn't have that on my agenda.
Yeah, we sent out a revised agenda. I just want to make sure that you.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
I'm going to,
yeah,
no worries. If you'd like me to, I can pass this on to Chief Collington,
Yes,
because he's the
please.
subject matter expert on this one. Chief Collington.
Sounds great.
All right, here we go again. So Mayor and Council, again, we applied for a grant through our grant writer, Mr. O'Connor, to bring license plate readers in the town. The importance of having license plate readers, it helps us identify stolen vehicles, wanted persons, and such things like that. The grant was Ms. Belly Hedgepeth. Let me ask you a question. Do we want to talk about the cost at this point and the?
I did it for the full amount, which is $50,000.
Okay.
That's $536, and I put that it's coming from 2 grant sources,
Okay.
from GoCap and from I believe BJAG or something.
Yes,
but that's,
BJAG
yeah.
grant.
Mhm.
Okay, good. So I didn't want to speak out of term in terms of how it will be funded. So we have done our due diligence in trying to identify resources to help enhance our ability to keep the community safe, stolen vehicles, carjacked vehicles, things like that, to bring down the numbers, reduce crime. So with this grant, we're asking, that this be put forth and approved so that we can get these license plate readers as a resource. So we're asking for initially 6 of them to bring on board.
Thank you for that information, Chief. Definitely appreciate it and understand the value of the LPRs for your team. Council members, are there any comments or questions for Chief Collington regarding this request?
I do have a question.
No, for me, thank you.
For Chief. So will this data be, will the town have access directly to the data, or we have to go through the Prince George's County or other agencies to access the data once this is in place?
So that's a good question. So right now the data is handled actually by the state. So MCAT maintains the LSAC is what it's called, maintains the data. So the benefit of having that, all the audits, all the reports, experts going to court, that will come from the state at the state level.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions from the council at this time?
Can we turn off the air? But no, don't do that.
So with that, I guess we are now at the end of our agenda. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember Brown.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions before I call the vote? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much, everyone. We're adjourned and we'll see you back at 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.